Exam season. You know the feeling, right? High stress, way too much caffeine, and just mountains of textbooks. But what if you had a secret weapon? We're going to dive into how artificial intelligence is completely changing the game for exam prep, turning that lonely struggle into a guided, personalized journey. So let's just start with this idea. Imagine your study notes, your textbook, all your past papers. What if they weren't just static pages? What if they could actually interact with you, pinpoint exactly where you're going wrong, and create new practice questions just for you, right on the spot? That's the promise of AI in education. And believe me, it's not science fiction anymore. It's happening right now. But before we get to the solution, let's just take a moment to appreciate the sheer scale of the problem. Getting ready for major exams, like A-levels, isn't just about memorizing some facts. It's about trying to conquer this absolute mountain of information, skills, and weird assessment objectives. The volume is just, well, it can feel completely overwhelming. To really get a sense of how big this mountain is, just look at one subject. One, A-level chemistry. It's not one exam. It's 3 separate 2-hour papers, and each one is heavily weighted. That's 6 hours of intense testing for a single subject. Now multiply that by the 3 or 4 A-levels most students are taking. You can see how it quickly becomes a total academic marathon. And, it gets even more complicated. It's not just about knowing the chemistry. The exam boards expect this whole other set of skills, right? Connecting ideas from totally different topics, dealing with complex math, and even showing you know how to do practical lab stuff, but in a written exam. It's a challenge with a lot of layers. So, looking at all of this, every single student asks the same question. Where do I even start? How am I supposed to structure my time? How do I even figure out what I don't know? It's a classic problem, but it's a problem that's now getting a very, very modern answer. And this is where AI steps onto the stage. We're seeing these powerful new learning platforms pop up, and they're a direct response to this challenge. They act like a personal tutor, a study planner, and an examiner, all rolled into one. So, what exactly are these tools? Okay, so the really important thing to get here is that these aren't just glorified digital textbooks. No way. AI learning tools are actively creating a unique learning path just for you. They analyze how you're doing, pinpoint your exact weak spots, and then create custom materials to help you get better. It makes revision so much more efficient and targeted, so you're not just wasting hours on stuff you already know. And the world of these tools is just exploding. You've got different AIs doing very specific jobs. There are dedicated AI tutors like Medley AI, which are totally focused on things like A-levels and GCSEs, and they actually teach you how to structure your answers to get the most marks. Then you've got AI marking tools from places like Save My Exams, giving you instant feedback based on the official exam board rules. And tools like StudyPDF can literally take your own notes and spin them into timed practice tests that feel just like the real thing. It's a whole new toolkit for studying today. So, does it actually work? Well, the results are pretty promising. The field is still new, of course, but the early data suggests a real impact. Some studies are reporting that students using these personalized AI tutors are seeing some pretty significant grade improvements, boosting test scores by an average of 12%, and in some cases showing up to a 75% improvement in subjects like math. I mean, that's the power of targeting your weakest areas, instead of just rereading what you're already good at. Okay, so we've seen the promising results, but how does this actually play out in practice? Well, you can kind of think about using AI for revision in 3 main phases. First up is diagnosis. The AI acts like a doctor, running tests to find your knowledge gaps. Second is content mastery. Here, it becomes this tireless tutor, summarizing your notes or explaining a really tricky concept in 10 different ways until it finally clicks. And lastly, there's assessment practice. It basically becomes an examiner, creating endless mock tests and giving you instant feedback so you can learn from your mistakes right away. All right, generating multiple choice questions is one thing. That seems doable for an AI. But what about the humanities? The long-form essay? This is where things get really interesting, and honestly where we need to have a little bit of a reality check. Can an algorithm truly understand things like nuance, structure, and argument the way a human examiner can? To even begin to answer that, we have to understand what human graders are actually looking for, and it's incredibly nuanced. They're looking at the depth of your ideas, the logical flow of your writing, how precise your word choice is, the rhythm of your sentences, and your basic command of grammar. It's a really, really high bar for a machine to clear. So how do they stack up? Well, one recent study put it to the test, comparing ChatGPT's essay scores to those from experienced human graders. The result is right there on your screen, a correlation value of just 0.23. Now, in statistics, a value of 1 would mean a perfect match. A value of 0.23 is, well, it's a very weak connection. It means the AI scores and the human scores just didn't line up very well at all. And here's the conclusion from the experts. It turns out humans are just really, really good at sensing the logical flow of an argument. So the key takeaway here is this. Use AI as a first-pass editor. Let it check your grammar and spelling. But for that deep, nuanced feedback on your actual argument, a human is still absolutely essential. AI isn't your final grader. Think of it more like a tireless editing assistant. So, knowing the strengths and the weaknesses, how do you actually start using these tools? This brings up some very practical questions, about cost, privacy, and how to get the best results. Let's get into it. You've basically got two main paths you can go down. The first is using a cloud-based subscription service. These are super easy to use, you pay a monthly fee, and you're pretty much good to go. The second path is a bit more hardcore, running the AI model directly on your own computer. This needs a more powerful machine and a little bit of technical setup, but it gives you total control over your data. And that control is so important, especially when it comes to privacy. This quote from a Reddit user just nails it. When you upload your notes, your essays, your personal data to a commercial service, you're basically trusting them with it. With a model running on your own machine, your data never leaves your computer. For students and teachers, that's a huge consideration. Whichever way you go, the quality of what you get out of the AI depends entirely on the quality of what you put in. People call this prompt engineering. You have to be precise. Tell the AI you're an A-level student studying with the AQA exam board. Use it to help you refine your essays and brainstorm ideas, not to write them for you. And one of the most powerful uses, ask it to act like a diagnostic tool and create custom practice questions on a topic you're really struggling with. So, after looking at the hype, the data, and the practical side of things, what's the big takeaway here? Where is all of this going? Well, one thing is for sure. The way we study is fundamentally changing. And this, I think, is the most crucial point of all. AI is not a magic wand. It's not a shortcut to avoid doing the actual work. The real power of these tools is to act as a co-pilot. It's there to help you navigate, to point out things you might have missed, and to make your whole journey more efficient. But you, the student, are still the one flying the plane. The hard work of learning, that's still on you. And that leaves us with one last big thought. As these AI co-pilots get more sophisticated, more integrated into our lives, and just plain more capable, what will it actually mean to know something? Will the focus shift away from just memorizing stuff to the skill of asking the right questions? Now that's a question that students, teachers, and all of us are going to be grappling with for a long, long time.